Welcome to Permission to Be Human, the podcast. I'm your host, Mel Finlater, mother, coach, and curator of Permission to Be Human, the company, and community. If you're a mom, know a mom, or want to be a mom, and you crave getting out in the world to make a difference, then you're in the right place. This is a space for moms like you to connect with yourself, your purpose, and your big, audacious dreams. Because when you feel your best, you can better you, your family, and the wider world. Let's do this. Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Mel. Good evening or good morning.
I know, evening for you, morning for me. I am, as you know, so excited that I finally convinced you to come onto the podcast.
No, I had to have an arm. Well, no, not an arm twisted, but I suddenly realised actually it'd be okay.
Yeah. And it's talking about something that is you. Like when I think of you, this is what I think of. So to give people an idea very briefly, we're going to be talking about magic today, but maybe not in the sense that you usually think about magic.
And not witches,
But how we can
not
bring a bit of
cauldrons.
that. What's that?
Not witches or cauldrons.
Not witches or cauldrons, although maybe sometimes. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
But more, how do we bring that into our life in the sense of the feel goods that come with it? So I invited Ruth on because she is the person that comes to my mind whenever I think about this kind of stuff. So let's do a little quick intro of you, Ruth, and then we'll dig in a little bit more about what we mean by this magic word. So who's Ruth?
Who am I? Well, I suppose where I'm going to start is that I'm Ruth and I live in Ely in Cambridgeshire in the UK. I used to live in Cambridge, but moved out to Ely, which is a small town for those people who aren't in the UK. I live very close to my daughter and grandchildren. So literally they're around the corner. So I have the really lovely, delightful faces peering at my windows sometimes on the way to school. The children peer through the window. So that's just lovely. I'm very much at home now in Ely. Before, and who am I other than that? Well, I'm grandma, but I'm also somebody who has worked with lots of different people all through my life. And I'm sure that will come out in sort of conversation. So I've not just stuck at one particular line of work, although I've been geared towards one line. I suppose I've been skewed, I can't think of another word, skewed in one direction. But in order to get to that direction, I've done lots of other things too. So my life now, as I'm retired, which is a really weird word to use, doesn't fit comfortably. There should be another word. Maybe I'll have to think of it. It'll come to me, maybe in this podcast, I don't know. But I'm retired, but it means I'm really busy. But it means I have more choice about what I do. I don't have to, I can choose how my day goes on the whole. Lots of flexibility. So that's nice. I've always worked as part of a team, and that's really important to me. What else, Mel? Who am I? I'm going to leave it there, and I'm sure there are other bits of me that will just come out through the podcast. It's hard to know where to go.
Yeah, definitely. That's the perfect start, Ruth. And I think, like we met, you were one of the first people I met when I moved to England, however many years ago that was. 18 years ago. That long ago. Crazy.
Yeah.
And Ruth, you kind of hired me, actually. I think that was our initial interaction. Hired me as your boss. I think is how it worked.
That's true. I'd forgotten that. That's true. And I remember being kind of like, yeah, that interview stage was really weird, isn't it? I hadn't really been in that position before of interviewing for my boss.
Yeah, it was a unique place. I'm so grateful for being able to work there during that time when it was like it was. And, to catch people up very briefly, it was a charity for a disability advocacy charity, and we were teaching life skills to adults and young people with learning difficulties, as it's described in the UK. And
Where we came across each other, isn't it, really?
that's where we came across each other. Exactly. And it was so unique that this interview process was me showing up, working with a group of people, and then having to present to everybody else what we got up to. And I was like, it didn't really feel right to present. So I just brought the rest of the people in the group up and said, what did we do? Apparently
Yes,
that's what you wanted me to do. So it worked out.
it was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah.
But so many people have no idea.
Yeah.
But you obviously hit the nail on the head, and you knew exactly, just instinctively, that the way people work with people of all abilities is actually to invite everybody in, and for them to be wholly and 100% part of the show in life. Really, I guess it's like just to be there together. Yeah, and you definitely
Exactly.
scored in that direction very highly. So yeah, it was
Well, and
good.
it's that inclusion from the perspective of just literally everybody is what I mean by that. Let's
Absolutely.
include, if I'm going
Yeah,
to talk about your life, I'm going to include you in your life
yeah,
conversation, you know?
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was such a unique place to work. And I think where we got to really play,
We got
and
to laugh, Mel. We got to laugh so much. It was nearly on the edge of dangerous laughing, because it's like it hurt your stomach so much.
oh,
And
for sure.
yeah, where in earth would you actually get that experience other than where we were working? I'm sure there are other places, but it just really felt completely at home and adventurous at the same time. It was kind of like we were having adventures together with everybody on board, exploring. No real, I was going to say, the direction came to us as we were working, and that was one of the nicest things. I always felt really happy to go to work. I used to cycle in on my bike. It used to take me about 45 minutes. But I used to be really excited to go to work,
Yeah.
whatever the weather, because it was such fun. And I used to think, I'm getting paid for this.
It was such fun. In fact, so much fun that I remember one of the first things I wanted to do. I was looking around and I was like, nobody's taking their lunch breaks. So I set up a system that if you ticked the box that you took a half an hour lunch break away from your desk, X amount of time, I don't know,
Yeah,
5 or 10 times or something, then you like
you
won
right.
something.
I tell you what, I won, Mel. And it's like, because Peter said to me the other day, he was watching some crappy program on the telly, and these women were having their nails painted. And they said, "Oh, you've never had your nails painted?" And I said, "Yes, I had. I won the well-being contest for having a lunch break. I had
Amazing.
my nails painted, and I think they
Yeah.
were bright pink. That's the only time I've ever had my nails painted. But it was, yes, you're right. But it was also, that was lovely to have that being looked after as staff. We were working, we were being looked after each other and ourselves.
We really
Yeah,
did. We really did. And everybody got a cake when they started and for birthdays and like all the things.
the
There's so many
chocolate
happy
drawer, man.
memories.
There was a chocolate drawer.
Oh, there
Do you
was,
know?
yeah. It wasn't near me, I don't think, was it? Because I don't think it would have lasted very long if it was near me.
I think the management used to put their hand in there, to be fair. They didn't top it up, but they used to take it out. Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Definitely.
regret.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like this conversation, leads into the topic that we were hoping to tap into today, which, it's the play, it's the fun, it's the laughing. You are the one of the people and the only people that I laugh cry with.
Yeah.
Just pure on all the emotion is coming out of your
Yeah.
face, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it's that play and that laughter and that fun that so often we leave behind when we turn into our serious adults and have to,
That's right.
adult in
That's
life.
right. Yeah. How many
Yeah.
times do we laugh like that? And I have to say, now you are one of, one of my few people that, again, I know understand that silliness and understand the quirkiness, and will go off in a direction with me. Other people just look at me as if she's really a bit odd. But you kind of pick me up, and we'll go with it together. A bit like that conversation we had about super pants, the super support workers wearing pants on the outside of their trousers. And I put that in context for people who may be listening. But we were we were
Well, and pants, by the way, means underwear, just for those
oh yes,
not in
knickers,
England as
those,
well.
yeah, yeah. Knickers and boys' pants, whatever they call them. I don't know what
Yeah.
they call them. That we were thinking about how, the way we worked, wouldn't it be great if everybody could work in a similar way? And you and I sat on that green in Arbury and thinking out, well, how would we be able to identify them? How would we know they were this sort of workers? These people who kind of got it and went with the inclusiveness and be able to chat to everybody and anybody. And we decided that actually, if they wear a pair of pants on the outside of their, or a pair of knickers on the outside of their trousers, then we'd know. We'd know instantly that they were super people. And so, but I just remember laughing so much at the thought of people in Arbury with their, over their trousers. I still actually
Just like it was totally normal.
Yeah, I thought, well, why not? You know, just why not?
Yeah.
But it's the thoughts, isn't it? It's the random thoughts that occur to you. And you definitely, for me, there's also part of that teamwork of being able to explore those kind of like ridiculous thoughts together, but actually end up with something really serious and doable. Yeah, with that fun element somehow embedded in it. And I think that's an important part of the way we work together and the way that next steps and that project worked was like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, your point about the play and the fun and the laughter and the outrageous ideas that we came up with, they lead somewhere. Did we walk in with our underwear outside of our pants? No, not necessarily trousers. No, that's not what we did. But we envisioned it and had fun then, going in. And
I suppose it made us think about what the core thing was. What is it that we were really asking? What of people? What was it?
And why did we want to know who? Why did we want to identify? It gets into the serious stuff after all the laughter gets out. And alongside it. Yeah.
It's kind of untied, doesn't it? Unpicks it. So you're untying the thoughts and the places you want to go by having a bit of a laugh about it. And I think that happens in many different sort of scenarios and through life. Yeah, definitely. It's the unpicking and having some fun with it. It doesn't close you down. It actually opens you up.
It does.
All kinds of different possibilities, which you might not have ever thought of without somebody there also. I think it's quite an important thing to be able to do it. Well, no, it's very important to be able to do it together with other people, because other people are in my head now, because I'm very much a visual person. I've just got this big pile of bubbles. When you have a bath and there's bubbles, and there's big bubbles. And it's those bubbles that kind of grow and take you in the direction. If you're on your own, you've only got the one bubble. But the minute you get with everybody else, it's kind of like, oh, and then it starts to grow. Probably a bit like a nightmare sort of scenario. Bubble. But that's the way it works, isn't it? It just takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't know where it's going.
Yeah. Definitely. You're making me think of that's what my kids do. I'm kind of, the visual in my head is we put our hot tub on a low temperature and they get in sometimes. And then there's little bubbles that grow in the corner and they collect them together and they pretend they're a school and they grow and grow and grow. And they think it's so fun. And that's just the perfect metaphor of this. Ideas grow when we let them come together and we allow them to be like bubbly, like playful, right? And ideation, it's so easy to be like, I don't know, let's say we need to come up for the name of a program or something like that, right? And that could be so boring. Or it could be so fun. Say that again.
Let's get the flip chart out. When you say, oh yeah, I was thinking, oh, you have to get the flip chart out and get the black marker out. And that's the last thing you actually want to do when somebody comes and says, actually, you're not going to do it like that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, so
instead it's okay, let's just like think of every visual that comes into mind and let's just like literally throw them out like they're bubbles. And so this play and this fun and this kind of way of being, we've been using the word magic for a while, and yours. So Ruth, you and I learned around a similar time, I want to say, what the core process. With Nick Heap.
Yes. I know you've talked about that in another podcast, I believe. And I guess the core process, when you've done that explanation, I can't think of at this time of night a quick way of saying what it is. You might be better at that than me.
Sure. I mean, it's generally a very simple process that gets us to the point of understanding two words that define, like, what's our mission in this world? Why are we here? Not like
Yeah.
what job you're going to get or, you know, but it's really like, who are you and what's the
It's like
gift
a
that you
gift
can
to the
bring to the
world,
world?
isn't it?
Yeah.
Gift to the world, what it is that we bring.
Yeah, exactly. And yours is amazing. Can you share what yours is?
Well, it's two words, and it's unlocking. And that word is really important to me, actually, in
Okay.
various other ways as well. There's unlocking magic. And when it kind of came up, I immediately felt really excited that I thought I thought they nailed it. They've nailed it. And I felt very proud. It was like instant, oh yeah. But it's made me actually think even more about the way I work and the way what things bring me happiness, what I really love to do. It's made me really think about it. And I double check myself sometimes by saying those words.
Yeah.
I get a lot of joy out of them. I do. And I have
Yeah.
never forgotten. So yeah, really.
Yeah.
Um,
And that is, you know, I look at it and I get excited about that for you because I'm like, yep, that's it. Those are the words, right?
yeah.
And
Yes.
you know, today might be the focus on the magic component of it, but it's really like how do we find those moments where it can feel like magic, right?
I guess it was interesting because the word unlocking is important to go with it. It
Yes.
doesn't stand on its own. The magic does not
Yes.
stand on its own.
Yeah.
And the unlocking, I've been thinking about it and what it is that's why it's been important to me. And if it's
Yeah.
a good time to say about it, probably.
Definitely
But
do. Yeah.
but it's kind of like I've always been really interested in the way that people are, but also how they learn and how you find out how people learn, how you unlock that bit of the
Yeah.
puzzle. So I've got a kind of educational background in a fashion, but I didn't also fit that educational world either because although did teach for a short time, I wasn't happy in school because it didn't work the way I liked them to work. I was very much more practical and wanted children to be completely immersed and involved in what was going on and to make it possible for them to be enjoying what they were doing rather than having to just follow I'm going to say a very dry word called curriculum. Curriculum. So I've always been really interested right from my mum worked in special education. So my work experience was in special education, going, bring your daughter into work sort of stuff. But way before that, I'm from a family of 5 girls. And out of the 5 of us, I was the one who didn't achieve on the academic side of things. I never passed exams. I was a late developer, as my mum used to call me. You're a late developer. I didn't learn to read because I was too busy building bonfires. Not in houses or anything like that, but in the garden, making potatoes. Or I was out on my bike. I really wasn't interested in reading. I was having too much fun. So
Yeah.
I think it goes way back to those kind of who I was not like other people. I was not the person who wanted to pass exams. I was jealous that they were, and I felt that I was not conforming to the family because my dad was an academic and my mum, she wasn't an academic but became an academic. And it was very different. I felt very different. So I couldn't work out why I was different for a long time. I
Mm.
only knew, when did I know? When I left teaching.
Hmm.
I feel as though I've had more pleasure in my life in doing what I've been doing. So yeah, it dates right back to a small child, I suppose. And then working in all kinds of different capacities, from betting shops, if you know what that is, a betting shop when people bet on horses. And I used to do the board, from working in play schemes in Brixton and London, to being I'd say, what do they call it? When you have no clothes on and the artists are drawing you.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called, but
I
that's
thought,
yeah.
I thought that was an easy job. You just sat there, no clothes on. But hey, and working in hostels with adults with learning difficulties who are coming out of hospitals, because people used to be hospitalised and they were coming into the community. They were coming into the community And so supporting people to get the life they wanted. And a whole kind of mixture of, yeah, and a handful of other things I do, but on the whole, it was a real mixture of people with different ages, different backgrounds, different genres of people all together. And one of my greatest loves is watching people. And well, that sounds really weird and pervy, doesn't it? But look, one of my favourite days would be to sit at King's Cross Station. I never did this, Mel. To sit at King's Cross Station, just watch people coming and going. Because I love
You could
that
totally do that. I now officially dare you to go sit at King's Cross Station and just watch people for a day.
It's so interesting. Just so interesting seeing the sort of relationships and the body language and the kind of people. It's always fascinated me that there's so many varieties, Mel, of people.
Yeah, it's true, right? And like you, Ruth, that unlocking thing as you describe it there, you're right. That's a super important part. And I think, the word that comes to mind for me within that is like curiosity. Like you watch people and you're like, I wonder this. I wonder how they work. I wonder what they're thinking about. I wonder what their tick. I wonder how they learn.
Exactly. Exactly. And the fun element, having been in school where it's all dry and little, I just wanted to make sure if there was a fun way of supporting people to learn, that it also engage me with that person and build up a relationship with that person, because that's a big thing. You can learn how to support somebody, learn the way that they would learn, but unless you've got a relationship with that person, then it doesn't go anywhere very fast. So in bringing the magic or whatever it is I'm bringing, I try to make sure that it's building a kind of communication tool in order for us to be able to work together in the same sort of place. Be able to have some fun while we're doing it. So at this point, I might just, and you can't see it if you're on the podcast, but I'm going to wear my cape.
Can you describe your cape to us, Ruth?
I just wear a cape every now and again. I don't usually wear it myself. I usually give it to somebody else, to be fair. But I haven't got anybody else. I could try and give it to you, but it's a bit of a long way. So it's a pink cape, which is made of pink foil, I guess, and it's around my shoulders, and it feels really nice to wear, actually. I'm surprised I don't wear it more often. Because it's interesting how clothes make you feel, isn't it? It does make me feel quite happy, actually, as I put a pink glittery cloak on. So I try and use things to kind of lighten and to build a relationship with somebody about something that's like in a fun way. And it often opens other doors once you've got like past any nervousness or about learning or just having a life. It's somehow, it just unlocks the sort of some freedom. There's some freedom in it. And it's, as you're right, from early on, it's like play. Be able to play and to be in touch with those feelings from when you were, hopefully as a child, you were a happy, playful child. Not everybody has those experiences, but if you can be in touch with that, and I'm sure some of that is innate, that there is a possibility, even if someone hasn't had a really happy childhood, that innately we have that possibility. So to be able to try and go there just for a short while, there is a sense of freedom in that, and that gives me great joy and working out how people think through sometimes just in very simple interactions. I mean, I have to say some people absolutely hate anything that's out of the norm, and I have to take that on board as well. I would take my cloak off. I take my cloak off, but often there is a way that something, and it's trying to find out what that way is that brings some joy or happiness to somebody, even a short, like a little glimmer of something. It made me think of how we, I'm going to use the word reframe, and I know they use it quite commonly these days, but it's something my mum taught me about, because she was a teacher, and she used to say, if there was a child in the class that was being really behaving in a way that's not acceptable necessarily in a classroom, but it might be acceptable somewhere else. But if a child, for example, is throwing bits of paper randomly across the classroom in a kind of aggressive way, and my mum would be thinking, oh, but this isn't, how's that going to work? And then she said, well, actually, if I reframed it and I held the bin up in the classroom and I got the child, and I'd say to that child, oh, you nearly got it in the bin. She said it took all the pressure off that child who was really going down a path and not really knowing where they were going. It took the pressure off herself, thinking, oh, I've got to sort this child out and get them to conform. But if you reframed the whole thing and got the bin and got them to play the game of getting that screwed up bit of paper and aiming for the bin, then took all the pressure off, and everyone was kind of laughing at the end of that session. And I think a lot of what I think sometimes the magic is doing as well is reframing problems and things that are happening for people so they can see it in a different light. So it's perception. Perception. And I suppose that's the other thing that's really important to me, is perception of people. How people are seen is one of my challenges in life. I think that people assume so much. They assume so much about people from what they see. And I've done it myself. But to question those perceptions and to support people to question them, and to support, then I think of the Bike Project, because it's been an important part of my life. It's been the Bike Project as well. So perception to people is tremendously important to me, that everyone can be seen as able to give in some way to the community. Because that's how it is. It is what's happening for everybody and anybody in this world. Everybody's got something to give. Some people don't see it in other people though, and I think that's very sad. That's going down another sort of avenue, that one,
but it's such an important one, right? Because it's through these things, this play, that we get to purpose, right? Which is the topic that you're mentioning, right? It is, play is fun in and of itself, and we can play just for the sake of play, and play is there also for purpose, right? Whether that's to help us find our purpose or help someone else, or to give permission to someone else to have a bit of fun and to come out of their shell a little bit,
Yes. And I think the tools that are used, range from using all our senses, I suppose, to show people how everybody can engage in one way or another with their community. One of the things I did want to say is that about the Bike Project, really, there's people won't know about You Can Bike Too, but that's been an important part of my life over the last, since probably about 2010, anyway, long time. And the Bike Project, You Can Bike Too, and yourself and the team of people, we worked together with some adults with learning difficulties who wanted to be able to cycle. Everybody else, and a young man who wouldn't normally be able to cycle on the road because of his learning difficulties was then able to build a project with bikes in order for other people to be able to cycle, including himself. And I think one of the best bits of the Bike Project was the fact that the group of people that worked together to make that project happen were the team of people with learning difficulties who were giving to their community when they had, in most of their life, had things given to them. And the fact that they were given a facility for other people to use, with and without learning difficulties, was an amazing achievement. So the big purpose behind the Bike Project for me was one that was challenging perceptions. And challenging the perception of a bike, because you get bikes where you can put wheelchairs on the front, you get bikes where you can bike side by side with somebody, hand cycles. I don't know, we had 24, 25 different bikes at the Bike Project. But it's the quirkiness of it. So we spread that message through the quirkiness and the magic of the bikes. But it was a huge message for other people beyond the bikes.
I think that challenging perception thing ties into the whole theme of everything. When I think about everything you've just told me throughout this whole conversation, that's what you do through wearing a cape too, right?
Yeah,
It's challenging
yeah.
someone's perception of you or perception of them
Mm.
and their idea of play. It's challenging perceptions, like you say, the You Can Bike Too project and the many projects we did of
Yeah,
what people are capable of and not capable of,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And making things kind of happen, I suppose. It's like something to was something to happen. And if
Yeah.
recently my family had a festival, and I was first of all I was thinking, oh, I'll have to organise this, and I thought, but actually then I start to think, oh, actually this is going to be quite exciting because I've got the reins of this because everybody else is so blooming busy, and they were only too keen for me to take the reins, and I loved every
Yeah.
single minute of organising the 3 days of fun with the family.
Okay, give
Um,
us some examples. What did this festival consist of, Ruth?
well, we had to have a theme, so we had a pirate theme.
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
oh, of course, like why not? I mean, I have to point out that sea shanties, my husband can sing sea shanties, so that's always helpful. But so there was a sort of pirate themed weekend, but that involved a big pirate barbecue in our garden, which involved just getting some old boards and making a bit of a stage, and playing. One of my nieces made this massive painting of a pirate, and she'd got another big picture of a pirate patch, and so we did the blindfold where you had to then try and pin the pirate's patch onto the pirate. And we did the little children, they learned pirate songs, so they had that sort of entertainment. And we also went on a boat in Ely, and we hired the boat, where we all went up into Ely all dressed as pirates. Nobody seemed to mind. I have to say, whether the genetic kind of thing about pirates is in the blood, don't know. But they were keen to also dress as pirates, so we walked through Ely dressed as pirates. Went down to the river, had a boat trip. It was the most beautiful weather. And then what did we do else? What else did we do? Oh, we went on crab fishing in Cromer, because that's like by the seaside, so that's kind of pirate related, loose connection. And then we went very loose connection because I don't think pirates had llamas or alpacas. So we were still dressed as pirates walking alpacas in Cromer, near Cromer, which is on the coast. And it was kind of like just that these things that were happening were, as a family, to be able to sort of celebrate things together. And interesting enough, yesterday my granddaughter said to me, Grandma, I just want to tell you there are things that I don't like. I don't like unicorns anymore, and I don't like pink, and I don't like dolls. She's 8. I don't like dolls, and I don't like dresses. I said, oh, that's interesting. What do you like? And the first thing she said was pirates.
Brilliant.
What I do like is pirates, and I like dots, and I like trousers, and I like dinosaurs. But I did notice that pirates was top of the list. It made me laugh.
Brilliant.
So you just take that on board. Yeah, it runs in the family, the
Yeah.
pirate theme. But having organised that, it was like really successful. Everybody had a great time, and so did I, in the organising of it and seeing everyone having so much fun and just going with everyone contributed, actually, because everyone contributed to the barbecue, either a game or a song or something. Yeah, that was brilliant. So I'm still enjoying those kind of like outlets. I don't really have an outlet like work wise, so I have to find my fun somewhere.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you often have those like physical representations of that fun and that play and that magic, you know? I know you have some with you that like these, so tell us what you're holding right there, because I recognize that as the exact one that I remember as
You
well.
know what? I'm really surprised that the battery still works. It's a wand. It was from Tesco's in the supermarket here, and it was less than £1. I bought 2. One of them's died. This one still exists, and it has a little red sparkle when you press the button. I have to hide it from my grandchildren though, because it has to come out on special occasions. Otherwise, the battery would be no more. But it's still, well, I suppose it's not too long to Halloween. It'll be out again. But yes, it is one of those. Surprising how often you need a wand in life. It comes up.
It is exactly.
And I do have a little headdress, which I guess reminds me of, it's a headdress with stars on, which I like to wear every now and again. Not very often, it's quite a new one. In fact, I'm going to take it off. One of my problems at the moment, Mel, is that I've got 5 or 6 boxes of dressing up clothes in my bedroom. I keep on thinking, what am I going to do with them? Because, it's going to, they're getting bigger. I never throw any dressing up clothes away because they might come in useful, and they do. But it seems to be getting a bit out of hand.
But I love that, my kids have a dress up box in there. And to be fair, there are some things that belong to me in there as well. But I love that it's, us adults can do it as well. And it might look differently for each person. You might not feel comfortable wearing a pirate hat or a cape walking through town. One, I would challenge that comfort isn't what we're going for. So is it stretch zone or red zone to do it? But also it might be more stretch zone, might be like, I can't even think of an example right now. What's a smaller example of how we can bring magic into our life?
I guess, even during lockdown, one of the things that, obviously I didn't have the people around me to help me. I'm just going to take my cloak off like you do. I didn't have people around me to be able to sort of bounce off. And one of the reasons we walk through Ely, if you're a group, it takes the pressure off. If you're on your own, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I would walk into Ely with a pink cloak on my own, unless I was going to an ABBA concert or something. But in lockdown, one of the things that I did, and it was a bit of a challenge for me, was to put, and it doesn't sound very kind of exciting, but it was actually to put on clothes that are in my wardrobe that I never wear. There are clothes in there that I really like, but I never wear. And they'd include dresses, because I never wear dresses. I've got a dress with mermaids on. Now, I love it. I think I've worn it about twice. But during lockdown, I thought I've got permission to wear whatever I like, and I wore something different every day. And that was a kind of sense of kind of fun and freedom, which doesn't sound very exciting, but it was enough at the time to make me feel, oh, actually, this makes me feel different. Again, it's to do with clothing. It makes you feel different if you'll put something on which you wouldn't normally wear. So it doesn't have to be anything outrageous. It doesn't have to be a pirate hat. But maybe it's something you really like that is in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
And you only ever wear it for best. I'll tell you what, get up in the morning, put it on. Just put it on, and you'd be surprised how it makes you feel if it's something that you've chosen. And it does change the way you approach a day sometimes, or how you are about a day. Putting yourself in that little zone where it's a little bit exciting. Yeah. Something simple.
I love that. And such a good example for the listeners to just think, like, where can magic fit in your life? Where does it already? Because it likely does somewhere. It might look, it will look differently for everybody. And where can you bring that in? Like, where is life just a little too serious? So, for example, this morning, I'm on day 2 of this, so I'm hoping to keep the habit. But mornings in our house as a mother of a 9 and a 6-year-old are horrible. Like when you have to go to school anyways, the weekends are great, but getting them to move at the pace that I need them to move at in order to get out the door to the school at the right time, et cetera, is really, really stressful for every parent I've ever had a conversation with who's responsible for that part of the day. And I was finding that I was super grumpy, then they were super grumpy. And I was like, I need to break this habit somehow. We need to change something. So
what did you do?
I was like, just started researching at first, just like ideas for morning that like meet the kids' needs and, et cetera. And then eventually it got to this point where I was like, okay, connection is what is missing, right? Connected mode. Because usually I'm like, flip the lights on, time to get up. I'm out the door, walking the dog, coming back. I expect you to be at the table, et cetera, et cetera. But now I'm like, okay, I'm giving them 10 minutes extra. I'm going to wake them up 10 minutes earlier, which was hard for me because I'm a don't wake a sleeping baby kind of person, right? But I was like 10 minutes early, and I lay there with them or next to them or near them or in the room and, hey, it's time to get up. And then I printed out this deck of cards that I got off this website, GoZen, which is full of amazing resources actually that you can pay a little membership for, but each card has a yoga pose on it, like
Okay.
with a kid-friendly kind of name.
Yeah.
So the frog pose, for example, and then it'll have a short affirmation on the top. My brain is I can't remember what that one was now. There was something about the brain this morning, or I can do hard things, or whatever, just really simple
Yeah.
affirmations. And the idea is each of them picked 2 cards and we would do them together. So that's your connection moment, right? I'm like, okay, let's like, you're doing an airplane, you're like falling over. And I was like, hey, try again. I'm going to try to push you. And you start to add in the like playful components to it, because that could be a very serious thing if you approached it a certain way too, right? But instead, I'm like, no, the purpose of this is to get us like feeling connected, feeling together. And the play helps, right? And they're always giggling by the end. And I am too. It's not one way. That's the
and
key.
then of course the next bit seems relatively easy after
So much easier. We have a list. I'm like, okay, now I need you to go check your list. What do you need to do next? And it's just so much easier.
The bottom
right?
layer, isn't it? The bottom layer has just been laid, and you've got it off the ground. That's
now
brilliant.
We were 5 minutes late today instead of 15, so I take that as a good sign.
Absolutely. And it's not going to work every time. It's kind of like,
and it's not going to work every time, and it might be that I have to find it, but the concept will likely work every time, or be close to it. We'll feel better whether we're on time or not, right?
Just get your children's clothes on the night before when they go to bed. They go to bed in their clothes. Bloody brilliant. Let's go.
When I really need to get out of the door, I have been known to do that. or make breakfast that they can just eat in the car. So actually, you literally just get dressed, walk down the stairs, and go outside. That's good. You're off. You're lucky you brushed your teeth.
Don't get dressed. They have to go in their pajamas. That's what I said to them. I remember saying that. Go to school in your pajamas then. That's fine with me.
Yeah, totally.
Once I got to that course, it was like the fight was over. They just went and got changed. It's like as if it was the battle. They'd lost.
But how can we make it less of a battle? I think that's the question, right? Like, how is it more of a game than a battle? Like, even chore charts. I can't remember if I had it there. I think I did. So IKEA, I don't know if they have it anymore. I used to sell this Wheel of Fortune type spinning wheel. And you spin it. I think you had one too at one point. So we still have one. And the way that we use it. Maybe. It might be. I don't know. But the way that we've been using it lately, and my son even asked for it the other day, that goes to show you, is with chores, right? So you have a job. So you basically, I write a list with the numbers, because there's a number on each section, and whichever number you get to, you have 20 minutes to go do that chore, because some of them are too big. You're not going to get them done in 20 minutes. But
I need one for my husband.
Yeah, totally. And it's fun. And sometimes number 10 might be have a cup of tea. Or like a kid version of that, right? You get a break and it's, oh, I got number 10. Right? And you can do it for 3 or 4 rounds and then they get a bit bored, but it's still
that. I just need a spinning wheel with a little thing on the end. And
totally.
Could be used in lots of different occasions. I've missed having something like that in my life. That's a really good game thing, because you can change them as well, can't you? Like, just
change it.
Change it to not work one week, we'll just change it and do something else.
Exactly. And I can't say that we do it every week or not, but that just shows you my house cleaning skills more than anything else. If I was cleaning every week with my kids, that's what it would look like. But
maybe the balance of things on the wheel has to be kind of looked at to see what it is.
Totally. Amazing. Okay, Ruth, we're going to start to wind down, but I wonder if there's anything else that you really wanted to share with people about this kind of whole concept that we haven't spoken about yet.
So one of the main things I want to get across, and you've also got it across, is about perception, and that runs through my life and really important. And I also wanted to think about how does it manifest itself now? And I was thinking one of the ways it does manifest itself, that sort of look, and the way I look at things, is even down to, if I see a piece of furniture, I don't see it as it is necessarily. I see it as something else. So last week I bought a stool from a charity shop because I like the look of the stool, but it's not a stool. It's now got plant on it. It's got a plant on it. And there's I saw something else. It's probably 6 months ago. There's like a window made of wood, very old-fashioned window. and someone had put glass in it, so it's a mirror. So it looks like a window. It was a window, and it's got a little hook on it for where you'd open the window. But it's a mirror, so that's on the wall. I thought actually a lot of the things that I buy have got like a double meaning, or double meaning to things. It's like a stool, but it's not a stool, it's a plant pot. It's a window, but it's not, it's a mirror. And it made me hark back to when I was at school. The one art lesson I remember was getting 2 pages out of a magazine of faces and cutting them into strips and putting them alternately. And then whichever way you looked at the picture, you saw one person, but you turned it the other way and you saw the other person. And I thought, actually, it even goes back down to looking at how you look at things. You turn it around and you see something else. You see the other person or the other side of something. And that's, I think, my kind of one of my messages is seeing perceptions and seeing different things out of the box. It's a way of thinking, is challenging perceptions, and my own as well, because I know we all have we'll get stuck sometimes in thinking certain things, judging a book by its cover and not really thinking beyond that. So yeah, my main message would be to think twice, maybe. Think twice about abilities and perceptions.
Beautiful. I love that so much. Yeah. Okay. As tempted as I am to go like for an hour longer with you, go on. You have something you want to do. Oh, she's got her button ready, everybody. Just letting you know, she's now holding a red button that has been a large theme in our lives.
It has. And do you know what? Because originally, when you first asked me, I was really nervous about doing this. And then I thought to myself, why am I nervous? Why am I saying no? And I thought, no, I'll say yes. And maybe I shouldn't be so nervous. What am I nervous about? I'm only talking about, this, that, and the other. And as you said, it's just a conversation. So I'd just like to end my little bit by saying,
that was easy.
And perhaps we all needed that was easy button sitting right next to us on our desk. I got rid of my when I purged and we moved across the world. Yeah. And I miss it.
It was just from a newsagent that's just selling papers and pens and things. And that was easy button. I think it was an advertisement. Hang on to mine. Thank you, Mel. That was absolutely easy to be able to talk to you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining. It's always easy to talk to you, Ruth. Again, I could literally go on. We could go on for ages, except you would fall asleep because it's bedtime in your world. And
I'm buzzing. I've had a busy day and I'm still buzzing. Having got the tools of the magic out. What's happening next?
Yeah. And those tools are the key.
Yeah.
Sometimes the magic, externalizing it like that is a really helpful way to use it, right? Because it's hard when it's just like inside of us and we think we have to be this like magical person in some ways, but actually it's the tiny it's those tiny things, like the Courage Club thing that I did recently, having the little sign when you walk in, or the little like letter that leads them and encourages them what to do, or it's the
energy.
little
gives energy. It just gives it somehow. It just gives it, and you think, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That's something. It's just like a blooming wand. It's a little sparkle thing from Tesco's, and just a button from a newsagent. It gives something to everybody. Well, not everybody, because some people really hate it, but on the whole, people really just like a bit of fun.
And honestly, I challenge the people that claim they hate it, that actually it just makes them a bit nervous, and that's okay too.
Well, that's absolutely right, Mel. Yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Mel.
If you live on Vancouver Island, then listen up. This is for you. And if you don't, still listen up, because it may well eventually be for you. I have started the Courage Club. It is up and running right now with our founding members, and it will be launching for real in January of 2025. And it is a space for women to meet new people local in their area and try new things, build up that courage muscle, take fear along for the ride, and have some fun together. And if that seems like something that you are craving, that space to get out and do things that you might not otherwise do on your own, but that you do want to do, then you can do it with the Courage Club. Now, courage shows up in many forms. Sure, there's the physical ones that we all think of, but there's also social and there's emotional courage. And there's so many ways that we can show it. So you will have an opportunity to decide how you're going to do your acts of courage. Head on over to permissiontobehuman.ca/the Courage Club and get your name on the waiting list so that you can hear all about it as and when it comes up. That is it, folks. This has been Mel Finlater on Permission to Be Human, the podcast, and I am so glad that you have joined us here today and hope that you have taken away some tidbits that will help you go away, connect with your big audacious dream, and make that massive impact in the world that you are dying to make. If you liked today's episode, please, please, please like it, share it. Think of one person that you think would also like it and send it on over to them. Let's get this out there and more moms feeling like themselves, inspired, dreaming big, and out there being them. Please do head on over to find me on Facebook with Permission to Be Human or Instagram, or you can even pop me an email and say hello at permissiontobehumanalways@gmail.com. Say hello and let me know that you listened. What did you like about it? I would love to hear. If you didn't like it, I don't really want to know. Just kidding. You can share that if you want. I would love to know, however, who you are. Let's connect. Let's find out what you want more of. I want to hear from you, and I want to make it what would be useful to you. As always, remember that you have permission to dream big, permission to feel big, and permission to be you. You have complete and full permission to be human. For real, you do.